Hello, welcome back. This is Gauntlet Comics, Masks, A New Generation, and the series is The Best Worst Summer. We're here with several returning players, no new players this time, but one who has been absent for one session and is now making his comeback. And we'll be getting started here in a moment. I'll give you my little opening bit, and then each of the players can introduce themselves and their characters. Just a quick bit about each one, abilities, powers, a little bit of personality, playbook, and that should fill everybody in as much as they need to, since we've already done the full introductions for all of these characters in session one. So I'll start off. I'm Chris. I use he, him pronouns. I'll be the facilitator, GM, number one comic book nerd, editor-in-chief, general doer of terrible things to the characters. And I'll be explaining our safety tools. This is a Gauntlet community game, so we all use safety tools. And in this game, we'll be using two types of tools specifically, others if we need them, but the two main ones we use are the X card and lines and veils. The X card, if anything we face during the game gets anybody to the point where they're uncomfortable, not having fun, or just not feeling it like they think they should, like what we're going into the game is making the game less fun in any way, you can X card it. You can say X card. You can type it into the chat. You can make the X symbol on the in the Hangouts window like that if you need to, or you can do it through the roll for your party. And if I happen to miss it, just throw me a wave or a hand up on the Hangout screen, because I'll generally try to keep up with that if I'm not able to keep up with everything else at once. And the lines and veils, we each put in a series of lines, which are things that we do not want to see at all ever in the game. And we've got that list as a part of the character keeper. So we all know what those are. And we also have veils, which are things that we don't mind having, happen in the game world itself, but we don't want to see them directly on screen. For the most part, that is, in general, I think our veils had a series of things that sort of, normally you would see if you were watching, say, a Young Justice or any sort of show about teenage superheroes, like the original Teen Titans, Young Justice, or if you're reading teen superhero comics, you would probably see a sort of fade to black or a scene shift at that point. And for us, those would involve consensual sex, depictions of grieving, hospital scenes involving terminal illness and serious emotional punches in that. So we'll be that stuff will not be on screen, and graphic descriptions of violence. Like we're going for a Young Justice sort of aesthetic for the most part. So our things might get violent occasionally, things might get superhero violent, but we're not going to get deep into graphic horror movie descriptions of things that happen. Someone might get a broken arm, but we're not going to actually see the actual broken bone sticking out or anything crazy like that. We're going to keep those things sort of off screen. They can happen, but they're not going to be shown on the screen. Our lines involve sexual assault, child abuse, death or intense suffering of parental figures, heroic characters doing mind control type things, and gaslighting, and violence to pets or animals. All right, and those are our current safety tools we have in place, and we have the X card to sort of catch the things that have fallen through the cracks with the general setup we've already got with the lines and veils. And that is my opening bit here, and I will go through the character keeper and let each of the folks describe themselves, their characters, their playbook, and then we'll hit the ground running. And I'll go from left to right in the playbook. Alex, if you're ready to start off, please do.
Hi, I'm Alex Meltzner. I use he, him, or they, them pronouns. I also have a fever tonight, so if I zone out for a bit, you'll have to forgive me at any given point. And I am playing the star, Jacqueline Jack Flash, who is a vlogger and live streamer with cool electrodynamic control powers. and she has never done anything wrong and never will do anything wrong. So.
Next is Brock with our Nova, returning now after session 1.
Yes, hi. I am Brock. I'm playing Alejandro Eclipse Luna. He is the Nova. He has cool purple space magic. And he's maybe a little too happy to use that dangerous space magic, I think is maybe his defining characteristic.
Okay, and it looks like Pearl is involved in some off-camera shenanigans. So Vince, our Harbinger, if you'd like to go next.
Sure. I'm playing Taurus, Vector, and gosh, what was my last name again? We'll get back to the character keeper. Galani, and I'm the Harbingers. I've come from the future to avert some terrible events which have taken place. And in the build-up to that, I've discovered that there's more than one future that's possible, which takes us pretty conveniently over to my partner in crime, who is hopefully getting back. There we go. Gonna shoe him.
Sorry, you were faster than I expected. Good job. I am Pearl. I use she and her pronouns. Wait a second. Are we doing characters also? We're not really doing characters, just like the beginning of characters.
Just like the quick intro blurb of character.
Okay. So I play Sapphire Stone, who uses can use she and her, often uses Z and Zero, sort of doesn't mind whether people mess it up. My nickname in real life is Sappho. My superhero name is Joule, Joule, to pair with Vector. I am also a time traveler from the future in a different timeline than Vector. I am also back to divert disaster. Even though my future was good, I happen to know that there is a supervillain out there who is looking to collapse all the timelines and multiverses into one horrible, evil timeline in which he will rule it all. So we have essentially the same aim, just different perspectives on such thing. Is that the fast version? Okay.
Let's see, Vince, did you get to give as much info as you thought you needed on your Harbinger? Or do you need to?
I think enough, and I'm trying to stay on mute as much as possible because the baby is not wanting to stay asleep. So the shake of the head was a response to my wife rather than a.
I've been there. No problem. Okay. All right. Now, when last we left off, we had some pretty big revelations about a couple of the team. We had the team, several members of the team get together, get intoxicated, some more so than others, and things were discovered, things were remembered, and things were said, and there were also things discovered in a different scene shortly before that that were possibly good, possibly bad, but mostly good, and also just kind of sad, really. So we'll sort of segue into that, and if Vince and Pearl, if you're ready to sort of follow up with the end result of that cliffhanger scene we left with last time, with that sort of over-the-shoulder conversation, we can get to that. Or if you need a little bit more time to work on that, I can do Brock's sort of lead in with Alejandro.
And I also, we do have started session moves that I think are starting to make more sense now that at least I've resolved a couple of memories.
Okay.
I'm okay with skipping them just because we have so many things that are going on. And I'm good with bringing in, like, maybe when we get off the flight rather than immediately.
Okay. All right. So just let me know if you want to hold off on your starter sessions. That's cool too. Just let me know kind of when you want to bring them in. Like if you think it's more appropriate to bring them on the plane, I'm cool with that. If you see a pause in the action where you think it will make sense, I'm cool with that too. So just maybe like wave or shoot something in the chat.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's see. Does anybody else have any startup session stuff they want to get in?
I just continue to request as one of my 2 birthday requests an actual replay of the scene with Taurus. It just amused me so much, and it was so comic booky. Like you actually looked like a comic book character in my mind, with like your eyes like this big instead of eye sized. Like and the panel, like your head slightly askew in it, and there are like lines coming out with all this. I don't know. It was so good.
Okay, well, jump past the stuff that we got in. I'll just get it.
Well, what we did is we had in a guest artist. Bill Sienkiewicz came in and did that like beautiful, like crazy, like sharp angle scribble that he did just for your facial expression. Well, he's got a lot of stuff to do. He's expensive. We can't afford him for that much. This is an indie comic, so.
And if I recall, it was just Jack is a monster. I mean, in the future, a monster, not now. She's nice, but I'm kind of drunk right now, but it's going to be bad. I was so wrong.
Taurus.
That's as well as I can remember it.
Jack falls on the floor.
I'm going to sort of just look askance and... Taurus, are you sure?
Not here. Not here. In the bathroom.
So I'm going to grab Taurus and literally just teleport us to the bathroom because that's the easiest way, given how drunk he is, to move him. I feel like an attempt to walk over to the bathroom we would trip over Jack. Everyone would throw up at me. I've been through
I think the rapid change in momentum from teleporting while drunk causes Taurus to start throwing up again.
Oh, I knew it would, but better one than everyone.
I have a question. When you teleport, like to the bathroom, you were sitting on the bed when he sort of slumped into the hug. Mm-hmm. Do you teleport into the bathroom like sitting? Like, are you sitting on the floor? Like, are you sitting in the tub? Are you sitting like on the toilet next to the sink? Like, or are you just standing up? Can you shift orientations?
I think I've specifically teleported us to the floor in front of the toilet in anticipation that this might go poorly.
Having recovered, I don't want to fully act out throwing up for everyone's benefit. Okay. I don't think that she can hear us here. All right, so told you about how great and amazing Jack is or was in the future or is going to have been. What is the future perfect tense? I've gotten very confused with tenses and time travel.
You're okay.
Here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. Jack is trying to convince everyone that everything that she's done is great and everything that she's done is like very much it's not great. It's really bad stuff. She's made other people look bad for the bad things that did she do anything like that in your version of the future? Is this just like Jack had one bad day that's tied to the cataclysm? I don't want this to be what happens to Jack. Is there any way that we can stop it? Any way that we can fix it?
Taurus, you know I love you. I love you so much that I'm sitting here on the floor of the bathroom.
I love you like I love myself.
Exactly. Probably more than I love myself, because that would be like weird if I were just like, I'm the best, but I think you're the best. Why I'm sitting here on the floor of the bathroom.
You're so much better than my future.
I'm sure if you were in my future, you would be doing just as well. But in this particular situation, I've been trying to subtly point out to you that Jack uses their fame to manipulate people for the whole time we've been here. So I haven't actually been able to figure out what Jack is in my future. I'm gonna have to look into that because this is.
You could try to find out right now. You could make the move.
I probably will. I probably will. But I'm a little concerned that you didn't start to put that together already, which may be why I've been so exasperated with you following them around like a puppy dog. But I guess things appeared the way they appeared in your future. I hope that perhaps sticking with the team, two of us are the same person thing might work out moving forward, because I think we have a lot of work to do. And in the meantime, why don't you stay here in the bathroom? Because I don't think teleporting you back out is gonna serve anyone well. And I'm gonna go.
I think I'm okay. I just think I can't. Actually, give me a minute. You go. Give me a minute. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, you'll be fine. Call me if you need me, or just think really hard, and I'll show up. So I'd like to go out into the main room, where you'll be all right, buddy. Where Jack is slumped now onto the floor.
So,
you all right there, champ?
Yep.
Okay.
How are you?
Great. Okay. You all seem to have been having a great time, which is great. I know I'm the fuddy-duddy.
Yep.
But you're right, just fine there on the floor.
Yeah, I'm good. This is good.
Okay. So here's where I would like to try to pierce the bit. What do I do? What's the thing for the thing?
You're going to try and pierce the mask, or you try to connect the
dots is what I'm trying to do.
Okay. You make a roll versus memories you've already unlocked. You haven't unlocked any.
No.
So you get to make a roll at you start out at -1. So you roll at -1. No other stats apply.
Okay. Can somebody link me to the roll for your party?
I've got that on the character keeper here on the move sheet. So give me just a moment and I'll link that in.
I think Jack actually shouts something like, "So what am I like in your future?" Taurus is too impressed with me he's embarrassed to give details. Think he crushed on me, on adult me.
Can I do this is out of character? I feel like identifying Jack is really important. And usually I actually actively shy away from trying to do things that are going to be helpful in game, because I think things that are not helpful are more fun. But I'm going to ask in this case.
A bad roll is really not helpful. So
what?
I said a bad roll in this is particularly not helpful.
Yeah.
So
well, what I was going to say is, could I first do it on because we have at some point, I think somebody mentioned this, at some point Eclipse turning away from the hero's path was like a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was part of, I think, a bonding, like a relationship question, but that's not officially established because the connect the dots move is what does the official.
So here's what I'm wondering. Can I do Eclipse first and then Jack? Like at this point, things are getting out of hand and I just want to start putting things together. And I would rather blow the roll on Eclipse if I have to than on Jack. So there's at least a chance that I'll succeed on Eclipse and get... I'm going to try to help you not turn from the hero's path. It's not rude. It's nice, actually.
Well, let's see.
Really quickly, let me actually read the specific text of the relationship for Eclipse. It's Eclipse turns away from the hero's path according to your history books. You have to prevent that from happening.
Okay. So we've got so you remember a history book from your future that specifically said that.
Right, which I don't necessarily have in my history book.
Right. And that may be also, since we've established what happens in the future, that may have been affected by the Jack connect the dots roll from last time too.
Either way, I'm going to roll on both of them because this new information from Vector is important and everyone's here and drunk, so I can kind of do things without anybody really... I'm thinking. Either they're here and drunk or here and haven't been around, right?
Right. Well, we can have at this point. I think this might be a good time to have because when Igniter stumbled out, he left that door open because he's in his own head right now trying to figure things out. And at that point, after seeing Eclipse, after seeing Igniter sort of walk towards the end of the hall, looks like he's walking towards the exit door to the back area of the hotel. There's like a little courtyard or something out there. You see Jack and Jules' door left open, and you hear some talking and loud drunken noise kind of thing from in there, like talking that's way too loud. And it's definitely, you hear Jack's voice from a minute ago. You might not have understood it, but you heard it. And you hear some yelling back. What do you want to do?
I think he's just gonna so this is like a weird scene to come in on. So he's gonna sort of peek his head around the door and knock sort of tentatively and see Jack just sprawled face down.
Well, no, Jack, I think is sprawled face up, but he is sprawled.
Sprawled.
Can you cheers sprawled? Yeah.
Instead of knocking.
Can you what?
Can you say the words knock knock instead of physically knocking?
Knock knock.
Yeah, he does that. He pretends to knock and goes knock knock.
Wine.
Eclipse, I'm so glad you're here. Please come in. Things are bananas.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I think this is actually an excellent reason for me to use connect the dots, because if Eclipse is a good guy, which is what I'm hoping, he is the only other sober person around who can help me handle this situation.
So you're highlighting Eclipse for your connect the dots right now. Right?
I'm planning on doing both in a row unless you will stop me as GM.
Well, no. Which one do you want to start first? Because I just need to know which role applies. Okay, we're starting with Eclipse. So let's go.
I returned the phone. Sorry, question in the chat. But I returned the phone by teleporting it back to him, but I had closed the app so he wouldn't do anything idiotic. So yeah, I'd like to connect the dots on Eclipse. And I read something about neat dice in the thing, but I don't see them, so I'm just going to roll some.
That's fine. You need to roll 2d6, subtract 1.
They ended up exactly the same. Does that mean that I hit the button wrong, or was that just a really weird coincidence? Like, not even just the same numbers, but in the same order and same spot.
Sometimes it doesn't quite catch it, so if you want to re-roll them, that's fine.
Okay. Or I might also have hit submit instead of re-roll anyway. There we go. Result is the same, but with different numbers. So I failed.
Well, okay. So you were concentrating on Eclipse. What did you hope Eclipse was?
I was hoping that they were ultimately, because they're so powerful, like the ones who were going to be the heavy hitter who ended the climactic battle we were inevitably going to have with the supervillain. The person I was hoping Miss Marvel would be in. No, it's spoilery, but anyway, a recent movie. Yeah.
So you rolled 6 or less. So they're not at all who you thought they would be. I get to decide their role and tell you as far as you know, or tell you as far as you know that they don't exist in the future. That's the most boring option. I'm not going to do that. So I think
sometimes it can be an exciting one if it's like, oh, wait a second,
we don't
might
have
not make it through this summer.
Well, I don't have any that's the thing. I don't have any dots filled in on Pearl's chart yet from the good future. So I really want to fill in some blanks on that so we can ultimately see how much they conflict, because that's so much fun. I think that what I think happens from your future is I think that Eclipse is going to be. He's going to be the traitor. In your future, he turned his back on his fellow heroes, and he left them in the middle of a huge climactic battle. Ultimately, they were able to be victorious, but they lost a lot of people in that battle.
God damn it, Chris!
Because the Eclipse from your future walked away and left.
Well, looks like Vector and I are going to have to do a lot of work on building some team spirit, aren't we? We'll discuss that later because I need to connect some dots on Jack.
Now, Eclipse, on your end of things, just so you were clear, this is just from like her far future. So this does not mean that this needs to steer your personal arc as far as the story goes. This is just how she's remembering things from her possible future. Okay.
I look forward to Vector's connecting the dots.
Okay, now are you let's see, you're marking a condition each time you roll. What condition did you mark for this
Am I mark? I believe you. I just don't remember what it so I guess I will mark the condition I don't have fearful. Oh no, afraid. That's just the same thing as fearful, I guess.
Yes. Yep.
So I'll mark afraid.
Okay.
I think you just marked it on Taurus's sheet.
Dang it. Okay, hold on. Sorry. Oh, I already have afraid?
Yeah.
Have I not had any chances to like clear any conditions this whole time?
Well, you did the one support move, I think, but I don't think we've gotten a chance since last time to really do things. Now you're gonna have some open time after this, like on the plane back, if people want to talk a bit and roll those kind of moves. But
Okay.
right now you're still kind of in the thick of all the stuff that just went down with your dad and all the stuff that just got whispered in your ear.
Sure. So I can't mark afraid again, so I'm going to mark hopeless because I had really hoped for this thing, and it turns out it's the opposite. So that's the best condition I can think of, unless anyone else has a suggestion for what would be a better.
I think
Marketing.
I think that works just fine.
Okay.
Now, here's the tricky part. Every time you roll this move, whether you roll 10 plus or not, you have to mark a condition to even.
I know I'm about to have 4.
So if you want to go ahead, I'll let you kind of turn and focus on Jack as you're like as that horrible revelation sinks in, and you're desperately turning to Jack and hoping that you can put something together to where maybe you're wrong about who Jack turned out to be. Maybe that's something that got hidden or distorted.
Yeah, and Vector's wrong also. Yeah, I'm in it to lose it, I guess. And I'm going to go ahead and take my 4th condition after this happens. I guess we'll see what happens, and I'll mark a condition accordingly.
So who do you think Jack was right now from your future? Just so we're clear. Like who do you think?
I don't think I'm sure. I think that based on who she's been so far, Vector's version does not seem like it would be far out from where she could end up. And that's why I'm connecting the dots. It's not so much that I remembered something, as that hearing the future and putting it together with what I'm seeing has made it make sense to me. And so I'm trying to connect the dots to see if I can remember anything that would corroborate it.
But your initial inclination, like from what you remembered, is like you don't trust her and you think she might be bad, but you're hoping she's not. Right?
Yeah, that it seems like she will, whenever necessary, put her own fame and ego ahead of everybody else's needs, including possibly in a cataclysmic time. And I'm hoping that perhaps some measure of selflessness or compassion will have done something, but my guess is it hasn't, and that if times get thick, the possibility that she will make things worse is not small.
Okay. Well, now since you've already filled in one memory, you're rolling at a just straight 2 dice, no subtractions.
Which, given my rolling history, still means I'm likely to lose, but it's better than nothing. An 8. Who would have guessed?
Okay, so you get to tell me what role they're going to actually fulfill in your future, and then I will tell you kind of how they end up filling that role.
Okay.
So if you think if you were hoping that Jack was going to fill a positive role in your future, you'd pick one of the more positive roles.
In my future, Jack is the martyr.
Ooh, that is interesting.
And I have ideas of how that could be, but it's your job, so I'm not going to go ahead and tell them.
Well, let's. Why don't you kind of lay out where you think it might go, and if I think I want to tweak it a little bit, I will. But I kind of want to hear what you're thinking is for martyr, because that's always an interesting role to play.
Okay, it's sad. Everyone, get ready. Grab a tissue. So Jack spends years building their brand. Her brand, and is up to a certain point that incredible celebrity figure that also appears in Taurus's future. But the key thing that happens that changes it is that as things start to go wrong, Jack witnesses, and we obviously won't describe it at all, but Jack witnesses, I'm checking the safety things just to make sure I'm not gonna, I don't think this violates any lines just by saying it quickly. Jack witnesses like a whole family, including small children, just get wiped out for no reason. And like minutes before that, the smallest child had come up like really shyly and like reached out a hand and been like, "Are you Jack Flash? I watch all of your videos." And been really sweet and like handed like a little paper saying like, "I love you, Jack," with some of the letters backwards because they were just learning to write and whatever else. And then like within minutes, something happens and they're all gone. And like the little wall around Jack's heart that has been built to make sure that nothing on brand can be disrupted, just like crumbles, right? And so Jack decides to use their fame to support the side of good really actively. And eventually something like ends up going into a battle where they're very unlikely to survive because it's that important, and like either doesn't survive or gets their powers taken away, or some big thing that they will give up because that one little child reminded them of why being like a real person / superhero is more important than being a vlogger of international fame.
Okay, I love that setup. How does, if I might have just missed this part, how does Jack ultimately end up like a martyr? Like what happens to Jack?
So that I gave a couple
because he turns when he turns fully to the good. What happens to him because he's turned back to the light?
She starts using her like significant social capital to start drawing people's attention to the issues that are at stake in the growing, like we haven't exactly figured out how things play out, so it's hard for me to describe exactly what that would look like, but whatever she would need to be saying to draw people's attention to the things that, sorry, my camera, okay, laptop, a little too personal, the whatever side of things that people would need to be paying attention to maybe either not be taken in by the like rhetoric of the bad guys, or to rally around goodness and band together, whatever it will need to be, which we're gonna have to play to find out. It doesn't make sense for me to describe actions about an event. I'm not sure what the event is, but and that the martyrdom, I gave a couple of options that either that essentially they go into a climactic battle of some sort when the time comes, and hopefully not actually die, but maybe lose power, like superpowers, or are injured enough that they have to sort of be away, and like they're gonna lose their main thing, which is blogging all the time, right? So through some manner or another, how severe that is, I'm gonna leave up to the play, right? We play to find out. But ultimately, they lose the thing that's become super important to them their whole lives, which is this being a star.
Okay, what I will add to that, because I like that entire direction. What I'll add is like the end scene of martyrdom, like the thing that we get another one of those flash panels from the guest artist Bill Sienkiewicz, is you see Jack is on one of her syndicated programs from the future. And it was supposed to be a softball interview with somebody who was in charge. You can't tell who exactly that she was interviewing. That part of the memory is still distorted and obscured. But she turns the whole thing around on them in a perfect, like, if you'd ever seen Tim Russert do that interview with David Duke, where he like literally obliterated David Duke on Meet the Press, if you haven't seen it, see if you can find it, because it's a glorious interview to watch. It starts off as kind of like an easy sort of softball, and then he just basically just slowly destroys him, and you get to watch him crumble on camera, and that's what Jack does. It is just it's amazing. It's all of a sudden like Jack becoming like the ultimate internet journalist of the future. He just takes this whoever this person was, and he just destroys them in this interview.
Now I feel bad.
And it was you recall like being amazed that this happened. Like, no, like that Jack did that, because up until that point you had thought, just like you thought in the early parts of this game, that Jack was a tool of the oppressors, was the tool of the bad guys. And all of a sudden, there she is. She is the shining figure on the mountain. She is standing up against the evil, on behalf of the defenseless. And that broadcast is cut with this huge burst of terrible power. Like, you just see this huge flash of energy, and the broadcast just cut, and no one ever saw Jack after that. Nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows what was done. But that was the end of that memory.
That's so sad. I feel bad now. I should never connect the dots again. Okay. It looks like Vector's going to be incapacitated, having been drunk for the next unknown period of time.
He finally passed out. He's just sort of slumped across the bathroom floor, sleeping noisily.
So we'll put off any flashbacks or my attempting to communicate this information. If it's up to me, I would like to start to buddy up to Eclipse, because I think that's going to be the sensible thing for me to do moving forward. But if there are other scenes to play, I'm out.
Oh, I think Eclipse is right here on hand for this, and you two are literally the only sober people in the room. You're two-thirds of the conscious people.
Yes.
So now, what condition do you mark as a part of seeing that memory play through your head?
Christ. Scrolling. How many are left? 2 are left. I'm going to mark I guess insecure.
Because you're
Why
thinking,
guilty? Oh, well, I'm guilty in real life, but in character, I think insecure, because like Vector's not awake, and he's my joined buddy, and I feel like if I don't manage to be cool enough to befriend Eclipse, like maybe I've endangered the future, and everybody else is drunk, and I think I'm just kind of overwhelmed at this point and feeling like I don't know if I can handle all this. Make sense to everyone?
Yeah, and maybe also like a little bit like you felt that you knew Jack, and it turns out at least part of your recollection about that was wrong. So
that is true. Although
maybe your future's not as perfect as you were thinking it was.
Man, the chat in this game is going to be the death of me. Yeah, I mean, the thing about Jack is that I wasn't wrong up to the point that I was, if that makes sense. Like I was remembering correctly, right? She changes very dramatically in one moment. So I think what I'm feeling about that is like, do we have to let an innocent family die now? Like, otherwise Jack becomes the monster from Vector's future, right? Like, this is the problem, right? With 2 different futures that have different details, is sometimes if the detail that goes with the good future is something tragic, we have to let it happen, I think. So this is going to be something that I'm wrestling with, and I'm going to have to talk to Vector with when he can be conscious. In the meantime, the only thing I can think of to do is to turn to Eclipse and, hey, I'm so glad you're back. There's so much going on. Do you think you could just come chat with me for a minute while everyone else is inebriated / incapacitated?
Yeah, sure.
Wait, stay.
We're staying. We're just gonna be over on the other side of the room. You take a nap, all right, buddy? You're gonna be fine.
No, I'm good. I'm awake. Also, out of character. I'm sorry, but I do feel that I need to call out Brock on the broadcast for what he said in the chat. He said in reference to Sapphire's revelation. Turns out you don't know Jack. And yeah, I felt that. I felt the need to shame him publicly for that. By which I mean praise him publicly. It was
Feel
very
no
good.
shame. Okay, thank you.
The chat for this game is consistently.
It's extremely good.
Yeah.
I wish there was a way to save it. I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that. I bet there's a way for me to pull that off.
I'm hoping on the new non-Hangouts on Air forum, there's a way to keep the chat on the screen, like to have an option you can click. Because obviously, if it's not good, you don't want to do that. But I actually save a lot of them in documents when they're like this. And then I can have them when I watch. But anyway, also you all missed my being prompted before you all got here into singing "Living on a Prayer" to Chris because of a similar pun. Anyway, so I'd like to take, if it's possible, I don't know how big our hotel room is. So Chris, tell me if this is possible. Eclipse to a part of the room where Jack can't hear. Obviously, Jack is determined to stay awake, which is unfortunate for me. But it seems like maybe not capable of actually standing up and walking over properly. So if I can get Eclipse far enough away that I can have a hushed conversation, that would be great.
Well, I think if this is, I mean, it's not a huge room. It's about the size of your average like Holiday Inn double bedroom. So if I'm understanding the layout correctly, currently with Jack's position, she is laying on the floor between the two beds, having slumped in there after kind of losing her balance when you force teleported in. So basically, you can see like one hand up on one bed and maybe one foot up on the other. Am I reading that right, Jack?
I think at this point she's just on the floor fully. Like, that was not a super sustainable position, so I think she's just on the floor between the beds now.
I think the simplest place to get where Jack probably can't hear you at all is probably like the little foyer and maybe like into like the sink area. Like
okay. And Vector's passed out, so I don't have to worry about him hearing.
Yeah, you just have to worry about stepping on him, that's all. Because he's slumped across the floor in the bathroom. Just
okay. But there's like a little entryway area.
Yeah, there's like he's slumped over by the toilet. The sink is up here. It's like it's one of those big sort of sinks where you can put like 2 or 3 people's worth of like toiletries up there. So it's kind of like maybe you probably got like maybe a 3 or 4 foot space there where you guys can easily like stand close together and whisper if you need to.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna quickly. I will go into that scene. I'm gonna quickly recap for Vince since he's back. You are passed out on the floor of the bathroom. Jack has collapsed between the 2 beds and is awake but not particularly functional. And Eclipse has just gone like knock knock and shown up at the door. And I'm about to. Oh, and I've connected the dots. Did you miss all the connecting the dots that I just did? No.
No. I was here for connecting the dots.
For both of them?
I had to duck out partway through the Jack reveal, but I know Jack was the martyr.
I'll give you the rest later because we'll be connecting our dots together, etc. And I'm sorry that babies are having sad times. Okay, so with all that in mind, yeah, poor guy, or guy.
Yeah,
sounds like. But yeah, so I'm going to just blip and teleport over to Eclipse, who is essentially still in the doorway.
Jack is going to start sort of like dragging herself slowly over there.
Okay, so Eclipse, I'm going to just fill you in really fast because it looks like people are crawling zombie-like over to us, and there's just so much going on. One, I'm so glad you came back. Oh god, they're all waking up.
That's cool. Just take your time.
We don't even have time to take time, but I appreciate the sentiment. So yeah, welcome. Thank you. So glad to see you. Everyone but me is drunk. And Taurus and I have been starting to connect the dots on people from the future, and it's getting a little bit dark. And I'm just so glad you're here. I feel like you're such an integral part of what's going to keep all of the multiverses and timelines into collapsing into one horrible, beyond dystopian nightmare. But even if not, I'm just glad to have a friend here with me who can help me manage the situation, because I'm feeling overwhelmed, and you're just, I don't know, I feel safer whenever you're around, you know?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a lot, being told that you're integral to the safety of the multiverse.
I'm just,
Um,
that's how I feel, because I look up to you.
Okay.
I'm not, it's just, you're so powerful, you know?
Well, I mean,
All the
yeah.
space magic.
Yeah. You know, we're all powerful, right? In our own ways. Like, you got stuff you do, right?
Yeah, no, I do. And that's why I feel like the teamwork aspect is so important, and like sticking together. And that's why I'm so happy you're back with the team.
Yeah. I'm happy to be back. Why don't I'm gonna just take care of, yeah. Is this a comfort and support? Or a revealing of vulnerability?
I think it's somewhere between. Let me look at the basic moves again.
Let's see. Comfort and support is one way to do this. The other way, as Brock mentioned, is this sort of sharing of vulnerability. It could go either way based on the fiction so far.
I
Between
don't
you
think
and
I'm trying to comfort and support, because I don't think Eclipse is upset.
I'm thinking
think I'm
he might be trying to comfort and support you. Like, because the way he was sort of framing his thing, he could be going comfort and support, or you could be revealing a vulnerability.
If you're revealing the vulnerability, then that means
You'd mark another condition. Don't do that.
condition and mark potential.
I could try to comfort and support, although I'm very bad at it, which is appropriate, I guess.
You're welcome to. The other thing that I would do is either try to pierce the mask or assess the situation, but I'm more than happy to have you trying to comfort and support instead.
Well, let's. It sounds like if that's what you think you're going for, Brock, it sounds like it is. We can roll that and see how that works out. And there may be a follow up move on Jules' end, if depending on how that move works out. So,
okay.
All right. If unless you have some move that changes it, you would be rolling with mundane on this one, I think.
Yes, which is a -2 for me. So that's a 0 total.
Ooh, okay. Let's check out.
I'm legitimately impressed.
Those are hard to do. Congratulations. You do, on the other hand, get to mark potential. So, Brock, you get to mark potential. And let's see. Okay, there's no specific downside of this, so I'm going to bank that. Might bank some of that for later, just to kind of see how things play out. Let's see. On Jules' end, what it's not quite like Alejandro, it's not quite working out, I think, the way that you wanted. Like, you were trying to say the right thing, but it's so hard to put these things together for people. They just don't have the same perspective you do, right? I mean, this is just tough. People just don't think about things, the way that they should. They don't have the detachment they need. And I think you're going to have to mark another condition here. You're already burning these pretty quick though, right?
Yes.
On the upside, your burn will be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. This is what I'm all about. Maybe I'm hopeless in that, like, connecting with Jewel is something that was probably never going to happen, and I tried, and it's just like I don't understand.
Right? She's just so concerned about everybody, and it's hard for you to get to that perspective because your perceptions are, quasi cosmic. Like you can't help but see all this stuff from up high. And Jewel does not get a clear condition because he has to actually succeed on the roll to do that. But you may have an opportunity here for a roll on your end if you would like to try something. Is there something that you would like to kind of say? Like you can see him just sort of pulling back just a little bit after he's like tried to lean in and be helpful, but he's also pulling back at the same time. He's so hard to get a read on. Like
could I pierce his mask, perhaps?
You could.
I think I would like to do that.
You are at a -2 to do it.
I'm at a -2 for like every move in the game at this point. So, more experience for me, I guess, right? I don't have to mark a condition if I fail. So,
well, here's the other thing to look at. Like, do you think during this past few minutes, you might have done something to clear your previous conditions? Like,
wait.
Let's look at those, because on your character keeper, it should show you in the little window next to the conditions what you would need to do to clear them. I can go through it with you if you'd like.
Since I marked them necessarily, like there's one that I've definitely done, but I think I marked the condition afterwards, and I am trying to be, true to the rules and all that.
Oh wait, no, I think I'm trying to remember with Insecure if you had marked that before taking the foolhardy action. I can't remember.
At this point, I can't either. There are too many.
Well, I think I'll err on the side of caution because I'm not. It's tough for me to keep track of like when exactly ones got marked. But I know a couple of the things that you've kind of done, like running. Like even though it sounded good, like going off by yourself to try and sort things out, could be on the and basically invading somebody's privacy. There was a high risk of getting caught. That could have gotten you kicked out of the program. That could have made Biff mad at you, which would have made your job super hard. So I think you could safely clear Insecure at this point.
Awesome.
Yeah, and what Alex is listing there in the chat thread, you absolutely could do as well. Like simply going in and being like, well, when an Amsterdam, and grabbing a beer or drinking straight from the box of wine.
That makes sense.
There's at least one box of wine left, and there's probably at least a couple of beers left because I don't think Igniter was able to drink all those beers before he got really sad about it and wandered off.
Okay. I will keep that in mind for the end of the scene. In the meantime, having not been comforted, I would like to pierce the mask, which I continue to have -2 on just based on stats. But I don't think I have anything I can do to up that. But a miss just gives me experience. It doesn't harm me any further. So, I got a 10. Who would have thought?
Like a 10 after the roll, like after the negative?
Oh no, it's an 8. God damn.
Okay. Well, that still works because you still accomplish good things on an 8. Okay. When you are comforting and supporting on a hit, they hear you. They mark potential, clear condition, or shift labels if they open up to you. So
I'm piercing a mask though.
Oh, that's right. You were going to pierce the mask. Okay. On a 7 to 9, you get to ask one of the following questions. What are you really planning? What do you want me to do? What do you intend to do? How could I get your character to do something, or how I could gain influence over you?
Oh, those two last ones are both very tempting. Do I already have influence over? I do not. Which one? Schmeh. See, if I only could have had my 10 without that stupid mundane. I think I'm going to say, how could I get your character to feel really invested in remaining a part of the team?
That's tough. I think what Eclipse wants from the whole thing is a like sufficiently like challenging or appropriate challenge. He wants to feel like they're real, like world-saving badasses.
Okay.
And so if you can sort of communicate, I know like you can't introduce threats, but like if you can play up the grandeur of the team slash, yes, maybe Eclipse himself. I don't want to say purely like play to his ego, but maybe, you know, I guess in one way, play to his ego.
Done
Would make
and
him
done.
feel like he should be here.
Okay. So continuing the conversation then. Look, Taurus and I aren't really talking to people about this much because time travel is a fussy business, and there are just a lot of variables and we haven't figured them all out. But something truly cataclysmic not only could happen, but someone is trying to make it happen. And that's why both of us are here. And we are really going to need people more powerful than I am, certainly. Like people with true, you know, universally intense power if we're going to save the world. I'm not trying to put pressure on you, but hush. You're passed out on the floor of the bathroom. Not trying to put any pressure on you, but I do feel like we're outgunned without people like you, and also without like taking this on as a team. So the rest of us as a team still outgunned. The rest of us with you, we've got a chance at saving the world.
No, I mean I hear you. Like that's why I'm here, you know. So, if you think we're gonna save the world, that's what we're gonna do.
Can't tell you how glad I am to hear you say that. I feel less completely struck with hopelessness than I already. We should probably stop talking about this. I feel like any moment now, Jack is actually going to make his way or her way around the corner of the bed. I just, there are reasons why I want this conversation to be private if possible for now. I'll explain to you when the time and conditions are safer.
Okay.
Okay, now and of course you can hear the others sort of stirring a little bit behind you. Is there anything else you two, the sober ones, want to do before like the intoxicated ones wake up enough to actually talk coherently at you?
I think Eclipse is going to betray Jewel a little bit by pursuing some alcohol, despite how important it was that he be sober.
It is.
It was only important that you be sober for that conversation.
Don't ruin his trying to clear a condition here.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
I'm pursuing
dare
foolhardy
you.
action.
How dare you? I can't believe it.
Yeah, you
How
drink.
disappointing.
Yeah, you drinking actually is foolhardy action because you are a cosmic powered, dynamo.
That's true. Yeah.
So this inherently, I will give you that as a foolhardy action. You trying to get drunk is probably a really bad idea. But do it. Do it.
I'm just gonna magic the wine out of Jack's hands, I think, and up to me.
Oh, he didn't have any in his hand. She didn't have any in her hands right then. She was crawling toward it, I think.
There was like some on the bed. I think she was sort of just crawling towards them. But I think it was like on the bed, I think. But I think when he does that, Jack, she is basically passed out in the middle of the floor now. But she wakes up briefly to be like, "Hell yeah!"
Okay. Now, Eclipse, you get to clear that condition. And see, Sapphire, do you want to try and throw any of that? Do you want to try to do something related to any of those other actions?
Just one last thing, which is I sort of look around. Like there's Jack on the floor. She's mostly passed out, but waking up enough to exclaim things that aren't helpful occasionally. Now Eclipse, who I really desperately am hoping to befriend and get on the side of the team, is going to drink too. And my beloved other half / twin self is literally passed out on the floor in another room, as far as I know. And I just sort of keep looking around, and then I'm just like, Yamas. And I teleport some sort of alcohol into my hand, because at this point, what the hell else am I supposed to do? And I start taking a big drink. And I'm like, when in Rome or Amsterdam, for that matter. And I'm hoping that will actually clear my hopeless condition with the easy relief, because
that will totally do it. That is like the classic easy relief. And I think you're right, Vince. That is a smash cut from that scene. And our next scene is going to involve you guys having a really difficult flight home the next morning. Like, yeah, there was not enough time to sleep that off. So you guys have tried to like breakfast. You've tried to get coffee. Do you want to have a scene over breakfast before you get on the plane? Okay. All right. You're on the plane going back. They're giving you the classic stuff. You've got airline snacks. You will probably, because of the time, you will have lunch on the plane on the way there, because the plane's not going to arrive in New York until probably like 3:00. So they're going to give you lunch on the plane.
Okay.
What is our seating arrangement like?
Well, what do you think would be the most apt for the kind of conversations we want? Because I know that that Jewel and Vector wanted to have a direct conversation, and you're kids, so you're shifting your seats all over the place, like when your professors aren't paying attention to this. So you can kind of seat beside each other if you want to. That's not a problem.
I had a funny idea as far as seating goes for that, and it would be if Biff thinks, because we're constantly talking with each other, that we must be dating, and so has like deliberately made sure to separate us, and so one of us is sitting in an aisle seat, one of us is sitting on the window seat, and he's sitting between us. And the only opportunities that we get to like plot are when he goes to the bathroom.
Well, luckily for you guys, he drank a lot that night too, so he's stumbling his way to the bathroom a good bit. So you've got little windows where you can talk, and he's in there for a sad amount of time sometimes. Because he also gets airsick, poor guy.
Jewel probably wouldn't have even wanted to take the plane unless forced, other than to try to talk to Vector and possibly Eclipse, because otherwise she would just teleport. It's a lot easier.
Would you really want to teleport though with that kind of hangover?
I think I'm not as hungover as everyone else. Like I had a drink but everyone started hours before I did. And we didn't have that long. So I think I maybe just have a headache and I'm kind of irritable.
But they did have more time to sleep it off.
Did they? Why?
They passed out.
Yeah, I was sort of assuming there wasn't that much night left before we had to go to the airport. And so in my mind, I wouldn't have drunk too much because I wouldn't have wanted to not be let on the plane and like whatever else. It was just kind of a fine thing, but not a drink yourself to death thing. But it can be otherwise if you think that is more narratively interesting. But in my mind, she's sort of irritated, headachy, and would rather just teleport to a nice, comfy bed somewhere. But is going to be here to try to save the day because that's what she does.
however you want to play it is fine. I was just throwing that out there as a possible alternative if you wanted to go in
Sure.
another direction. So so you're not quite as you're not in quite the same condition.
No.
I don't think you or Eclipse are in quite the same condition as your compatriots. And I'll leave that up to just how you want to play things out. Let's see. Now I know that Jewel and Vector want to have a quick conversation. On the other side, Alejandro, Jack, is there anything that you guys want to have a little chat scene once we get through that initial conversation with Vector and Jewel, or do you guys want to jump in with yours first, since I think theirs might take a little bit?
Yeah, I'd be happy to have a conversation.
Okay, you can see you guys end up sitting next to each other because that's easy. They don't think you guys really have all that much talking or any kind of relationship going on, and you do notice that there's these cosmic energy sunglasses wrapped around the face of Eclipse right now. He has eclipsed himself.
Jack, for the record, she feels terrible, but she looks absolutely flawless. You don't know how, but she looks flawless. And I think she's just nursing Diet Coke or something. And she says, "So, what all was Sapphire going on about last night?"
I shouldn't really say too much, but I think we're going to be having a lot of excitement coming up soon.
Yeah, what's that supposed to mean?
Superheroing, and he pushes his sunglasses down and winks at her and puts them back up.
That's good. Just don't steal my thunder. And she winks back.
I don't really need your thunder when I've got my own.
That's literally what I'm saying, because you've got the friggin' cool cosmic stuff. Never mind. Jewel does not seem to want to talk to me. Oh. Yeah, sorry, I was just reacting to chat. Bye, Vince. Jewel does not want to talk to me. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on, but
she's just going through some stuff. I'm sure she'll come around.
So how are you doing?
Pretty good. I'm a little disappointed. I missed out at the end of that whole thing with the thing that was blowing up the castle. I usually like to be there for that, but
Yeah, it was whatever. Taurus and Sapphire did a portal thing. It was cool, I guess. We haven't talked much.
no. I'm sorry. We haven't really talked since that time. I kind of shot you.
Yeah.
With my space magic. Still
Yeah,
kind of a work in progress.
That wasn't great, but I get it. Not everybody can Look, all that power, it's bound to get flung some places you didn't intend sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, I think Eclipse sort of just like shifts awkwardly.
Yeah, I think Jack's just gonna get up and go towards Sapphire.
Let's see. I have a question for you, Jack. Do you think at that point you were expressing a vulnerability? 'Cause you were kind of admitting that you thought Eclipse was kind of out of your league there a little bit. It sounded like. Do you think it went that far from your perspective? If it didn't, that's fine. I just thought I'd throw that out there because it sounded like it could have been.
I think that's like I'm not sure it reached that this time. But it's definitely like that's a thread I want to continue to pull on.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure if you wanted to push it that far, that sounded like you could easily do that. Okay, you can shift over to let's see. Oh wait, Pearl's. Yeah. Let's see. Pearl, are you still there? You're muted.
I said yes. You just keep catching me right when I'm chewing, but I'm here.
Let's see. Are you up to? Well, actually, just to give Pearl kind of a quick
swallow, I'll be fine.
Okay. We are getting close to the midpoint. If you guys want to take a break for a second and think if there's where you want the next plane, discussion on the plane to go, are you guys cool with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have an idea if it's nothing like other people really want to get in.
Okay.
Most of my friends have been thwarted in terms of what I wanted to do, just by circumstance. So I'm happy to go with wherever you want to take it.
Sure, we can manage to get some good drama in there. So
yeah.
Oh, of course we can. There's a plane full of people and 3 teenage superheroes.
Yeah, not a recipe for disaster at all.
And at least 2 of them have an active hangover. So okay, we'll do a quick 10-minute break. Come back at let's make it 11 minutes. So because I like those 5s. Let's come back at 9:35 and hit the road, or hit the plane, I guess. But yeah.
Okay. That was super amazing timing because I actually listened to the Mulan song I've been referencing in the chat during the break to get myself into the mood. And like right as the like doo, 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 like little ending things came out, your face came back on the screen and we're back in the game.
All right.
The new Mulan is the only one I'm remotely excited for, and that was only after I found out it wasn't actually going to be based on the Disney flick and instead based on the original poem.
I didn't know that, but that's exciting.
Yeah, there seem to be going like if there are musical numbers, there's probably going to be like it'll actually be like a Chinese style musical number instead of like a classic like Broadway style thing. So
I'm just glad we won't have to deal with a terrible
Eddie Murphy Dragon.
CGI Mushu, I was going to say. Yeah. Brock, I didn't watch any of those growing up either, honestly. I watched them all years, like when I was in high school or college. Still have never seen like The Little Mermaid.
What? Sorry.
Yeah. So or Aladdin. So I've really no like stake in those games. But
I've seen them all enough to make up for all of you.
Okay. Well, I'm still of the opinion that live action remakes are bad.
Yes.
So.
And the Disney ones thus far have not. Well.
No, the Mulan one, like Alex was saying, they might actually give them a chance to like do something kind of culturally appropriate with it. We'll see how it turns out. I like my 5-year-old has attached himself to all Disney music. He hasn't seen half of these movies, but he heard the songs in his music class because those were easy songs for kids to pick up and learn. So
also, they're the best songs.
Oh, that's valid, but he just loves them. So like I have had to create an entire Spotify playlist for our travels to visit relatives, just to kind of keep him engaged, so he doesn't start like trying to fight his brother across the seat or anything. So okay, nice. Now when last we left us, we discovered that unfortunately Vector has still not really mastered that all that wine and beer that he drank last night. So he has had to make a unfortunate run to compete with Biff at the restrooms. So you're not able to like get in that conversation that you needed to have. Like Jewel, you just and to top it all off, Biff has come back, and it seems like he wants to have a talk with you about what you and Vector have been up to. Specifically, you and dang it, and I just blanked on Vector's first name.
Taurus.
Taurus. What you, Sapphire, and Taurus have been doing. Like, he's been told by some of the he leans in and said, look, I know it was Amsterdam, but some of the other chaperones were talking about what you guys were doing, and like all of us saw, some of us felt Igniter stomp out of the building last night. Look, I know that you guys are just sort of, going to do your wild European vacation thing. Look, I get that. Like, I saw that National Lampoon's movie. Like, I know that you all think that, and he obviously doesn't have any idea that none of you are old enough to have ever seen that movie. Not even as a retro thing, because that is the one of the National Lampoon's movie that has not made any sort of popular culture comeback, with probably very good reason. And you've got to understand the kind of light that can reflect the Prime program in. Okay, you can't do that stuff at a public hotel. The employees saw what you were doing as they were walking by, cleaning up. They got a couple of complaints because you guys were getting loud and yelling. I don't think you were yelling angrily, but you were definitely yelling. We got some complaints. I mean, especially after what happened to that archaeological diet. I mean, we're still having to deal with a lot of fallout from that.
You're saying this to me, right?
Yeah, and he's just sort of leaning in, like he's trying to just say it to you. But you get the impression like he probably is meaning this for like your whole team, but he's kind of got you as almost a captive audience here in the plane, because he's not thinking that you can just teleport away, but so he's like just explaining. He says, look, you've got to concentrate on how people are going to see you, and you've got to concentrate on not putting that kind of image out there for the students in this program. I mean, we understood when we brought you guys in that you guys were adding a certain dynamic to the program, and we understand that, and that's part of the program. That's part of the dynamic they want. They want everybody to see that all of you all of you kids are getting along and putting your best foot forward, but you've really got to rein some of this in. And what he's trying to do is he's trying to push your mundane up and your superior down.
I will take that.
Okay, like he's saying, you've got to rein this stuff in. You can't be doing this sort of thing. And his words, because you decided not to reject them, they sink in, and your labels shift. Your mundane goes up by 1, and your superior goes down by 1.
I'll take that. I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed by the situation, and inadequate to the tasks at hand.
Sometimes the obnoxious adults, their words can hit you just where you're most vulnerable, and this is where he's hit you.
He may be completely wrong about the reasons why those things are true, but they are true.
And the thing about it is, they don't have to be true for you to think they are.
Right.
Damn teenagers. So, and he just sort of nods as he's feeling like you understand where he's coming from, and then he says, "Oh, I'll be right back." And he starts for the restroom. Luckily for him, there are 2 of them back there.
Can't believe this guy's my dad. All right.
Right? It's crazy.
By the time he grows up in the future, he grows out of this phase. By my future, at least.
What, being lame?
Yeah. I'm not going to disagree with you. Like, this is not the best behavior I've seen from a parental figure.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm sitting alone in my row of airline seats as the only person who's not made themselves ill.
Oh no, this is Jack behind, like in the row behind you.
Actually, directly behind me.
Yeah, just kind of chilling there.
Okay. Oh hey, Jack. This is a day.
How you feeling?
Well, I'm alive.
Aren't we all?
As far as I can tell. Who knows about our compatriots in the airline restrooms, but I'm going to assume that they will emerge eventually.
They'll be fine. You know Taurus, he may be a hopeless dork, but he's a fighter.
Yeah, no, and he's got a lot of strength in him that he just needs to embrace, I think. As do we all, we don't know what's coming in days ahead, but I think remembering what matters hopefully will keep us all on the right path, even if we have a few stumbling, vomiting moments along.
Yeah. Speaking of which, maybe I was just too blasted to form any long-term memories, but seem to remember asking to hear about my future.
That's the thing, though. Time traveling really scrambles your memories. So, I don't think I realized you all knew I was from the future. Have we revealed that?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we knew Taurus is from the future, right?
Yeah, well, and I think specifically Taurus had sort of brought that out, because that was part of their conversation. Now, I don't know if you specifically had told them, because I think you were holding back a little bit more than Taurus was, Sapphire.
Yeah.
So you might not have told them, but Taurus probably told Jack a lot because that's just how he thought of Jack at that point.
Sure. And about me as well. Then, like, do people know that we're the same person? Because I was assuming they didn't, but
I don't think they know. They don't know specifically you're the same person. They think maybe you're just twins, like because you do look like spectacularly alike. Like it's not quite a full twin thing. I don't think, based on the fact that nobody believes you're twins, but like you're really close. Like they, so
we could have been fraternal twins.
Yeah,
You know.
I do feel like Jack would be able to start to put those pieces together, or do you want me to roll for that?
Oh yeah, pierce my mask. I don't think I'm going to be forthcoming about this particular issue if you don't.
Yeah.
I might say other things because I have a different take on you than I did before, but I'm not ready to just spill all my secrets. So if you can pierce my mask, what can I do?
All right. I mean, I think she's just doing her kind of like, come on, out with it. Come on. Sort of peer pressure. I think she actually says peer pressure.
Yes, the YouTube generation has ruined discourse. Now we just say the things that we mean to actually do subtextually.
Yeah.
And this is going to be my first roll of the session. So that's a pierce the mask, and that's my bad stat. Okay.
None of you guys are big on the Mondays.
That's a 5. So I get to advance.
Yes, you do get to mark potential, and you will get an advance. Let me see what that lets me do. Let's see. Oh, pierce the mask. There's not a specifically bad thing that happens, but I think at that point, I think the plane lurches awkwardly. It's particularly awkward for you, Jewel, because you're not used to being jostled like that. You travel by teleportation.
Yeah.
You always get there exactly the way you want.
What was
Jack
that?
is also not wearing her seatbelt, so
And hanging over the back of a chair.
Yeah.
I think also like Jewel wouldn't be concerned for herself because she can teleport, but like she doesn't understand how plane travel works and is now worried that like the plane is maybe going to crash and all of her companions are going to die. What was that? What was that? Is that normal?
And you see like the little seatbelt lights come on, and you hear the captain voice with that. You know, it's supposed to be reassuring, but actually it's kind of creepy, calm captain voice. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got some turbulence. We've got a storm system we're going to be passing near. So please buckle your seatbelts and be prepared for some turbulence. It shouldn't last very long, but it would be good that you should remain seated if at all possible. And we will notify you when it's going to be safe again to get up and move about the cabin as you may wish to. We thank you for your patience, and we apologize for having to take this course. But unfortunately, we have to get through here if we're going to make it to any of our stuff on time. And the storm system doesn't seem to be too bad, so we should be through it within the next hour. Thank you for your patience, ladies and gentlemen, and please enjoy the in-flight movie. The in-flight movie this week will be the live-action remake of The Lion King. Please enjoy. Thank you. That's my hard move right there. Live action.
Jack is gonna do like just a little bit, little bolt just to like short out the TV.
I would almost count that as comforting or supporting my character, but
if you want to roll it, like I'll let you. Like that can be a mutual thing.
Sure.
I'm also very bad at that, so let's do it.
I'll roll it. Yeah. Comfort.
I'm not going to make anybody
That's
take
a
a 9
9
after that, but it's
a 9.
All right.
Nice job.
Woo.
So on comfort and support,
I got
you get
nothing. So
well. You rolled a 9, so that means they hear you, and you mark potential clear condition or shift labels if they open up. Let's see, Sapphire, does that little gesture by Jack, like as he's sort of, I imagine smirking just a little as his finger points at the TV and it shorts out as that she's 10. Sorry. Her finger extends. Little finger gun.
I very much appreciate it. I have a headache already and have probably at some point expounded upon my love for classic Disney. So I'm definitely feel supported by that. So I guess I can mark potential clear condition or shift labels.
Yeah, but you have to open up. What do you say in response to that? Like, is this going to kind of trigger you opening a little bit?
Yeah. Hey, thanks. I'm not on my best this morning, and that was pretty rad.
You're welcome.
Thanks. You're pretty cool. When you want to be.
Thanks. So you can tell me about my future or what?
Yeah. Hold on. I get to do a thing because you comforted me. So let me do mark potential clear condition or shift labels. Do I want to clear a condition or no? I think I'm gonna shift labels.
Now you have been marking potential whenever you've rolled your misses, right?
I feel like I've probably missed at least one. And I just made another miss actually, which means that I'm now at 5 out of 5 and should take an advancement and reset, which is nice. Thank you for reminding me.
Feel free to think about your advance if you want to. You don't have to take it immediately, although you can if you already have an idea.
I do not, so I'll figure that out. But in the meantime, oh, Jack, I feel like between the altitude and the headache I have from the alcohol, this is probably not the best time for me to attempt to figure out your future, especially given that it gets scrambled. You've never done time travel, have you?
Not that I recall.
So it kind of scrambles your memories a little bit, which means that it can be hard to really, connect the dots, as it were, between how things are in the future and how things are now. But what I'm trying to remember, and all I'm getting is this sense that a lot hinges on how you like you're an important character. You're an important person in the future, and a lot's going to hinge on what way you go. You're going to be famous either way, so I wouldn't worry about that. But where you use that fame, I think it's going to matter. I think you really matter, and I'm looking forward to seeing how you use that power for good. And I hope I'll be there with you to propel things forward towards good times. Sorry if that was overly serious. I'm a little bit stressed out. The plane, do planes usually do this? I don't know if they usually do this. I don't take planes.
It varies. And yeah, that's good to hear. That's funny. Because here I thought maybe it was something with my future, which is why you've been acting like such a stone cold bitch to me. But
you do intentionally provoke me almost every single day. There is that, and also, look, to be perfectly honest, and probably more vulnerable and forthcoming than I should be, but at this point, I am too tired to even try to play things close to the vest. I'm jealous. Vector and I are very close due to future things we have in common, and yeah, he just idolizes you so much and always will go with what you want or suggest over what, I don't know, I get jealous. Like, we're like practically the same person, and yet still it's always Jack this, Jack that, and I'm doing my best to help the team succeed. I'm trying to be responsible, and it just feels like all it gets me is looks of being like the fuddy-duddy, but someone's got to save the world, and I'm pretty sure it's us. And I don't know. I don't mean to be rude. I'm worried about a lot of things.
I think Jack laughs. Like, you're jealous? That's hilarious. Like, you and Taurus you guys, your connection, I have never connected that way with anybody. So why don't you get out of your own head and I don't know.
I mean, I haven't connected with anybody the way I've connected with Taurus either. I mean, it's a different kind of connection than I have with other people. I can't really explain it right now.
Yeah,
but you know, I mean, like, did he stay with me or did he go up and drink alcohol with you? You know, did he idolizes, and I can see why. You're very, you know, you've got your whole following and you're everything. And like, what do I have? I have the responsible one. Nobody likes the responsible one.
I mean, he likes the responsible one.
Okay. This sounds a lot like you guys are sharing vulnerabilities here. I mean, am I reading this conversation right? And it looks like it's coming from both directions.
Yep.
So each of you are hitting your sharing a vulnerability move. If you want to throw that out there.
Yeah,
I definitely do.
Yeah. Okay. So you take your share vulnerability move. I think. See, if I remember right, yours is kind of odd for the join because that means you have to mark a condition and mark potential, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you mark your condition, whichever. I mean, this is a rough one. You just cleared one, so it's and two actually, just in the last scene. So you got to mark another one. But you add another potential, so you've rolled over your regular potential into your advance that's coming, and you've got another bonus potential after that. So when you reset, you'll have to reset to 1.
Yeah, I just put it at 1. I'm trying to decide what condition to mark. It's either going to be guilty for. Well, I don't think you feel. I'm not saying anything bad about Taurus. I'm just expressing maybe insecure again.
It could also
being insecure.
It could still be guilty because you could still be feeling weird about your previous attitude toward Jack or the stuff that you had been saying to Taurus about Jack. Like that could still weigh in there if that's the way you want to go. But
I think I'm going to go with insecure. I feel insecure about Taurus. I feel insecure about not knowing the best way to like keep Jack from going evil. I think I feel insecure about everything at this point. So I will take that and feel like it's a fair call.
Okay.
And what's your vulnerability move, Jack?
Yeah, so the star's vulnerability. When you share vulnerability or weakness with someone, ask them if they will tell anyone the truth about you. If they agree to keep it a secret, clear your condition or mark potential. If they don't agree, the GM shifts your labels. And I think specifically what like that truth is I think Jack like sort of opens up more specifically about like I've never been good at like connecting with people, and like that's why I did the whole social internet personality thing in the first place. And like seeing how you and Taurus are just so in sync, like all the time. I don't know, just reminds me of how I haven't been able to like get even close to that with anyone ever.
Well, maybe that's going to change now. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess we will see.
So, Pearl, or since he's shared with Sappho, do you think Sapphire? Do you think Sapphire is going to keep her secret, or
You can call me Sappho, by the way. That is my nickname. The specific secret about Taurus and I?
about Jack's expression of how she feels about your bond and her relationship issues? I think is the secret. Am I right on that, Jack?
Just specifically like the fact that she's never really been able to connect with. She's always had trouble connecting with people.
But the secret that you're asking if I will reveal is like, we know a lot of things about possible Jacks now. I'm not sure which.
The secret. So the Star's vulnerability move is ask them if they will tell anyone the truth about you. And the truth in this case, I think, is the fact that like Jack has just always had trouble with like interpersonal relationships and connecting with people.
Okay, sorry, I got befuddled with
no worries
different things. I will definitely keep that secret. I feel like that was like a moment of vulnerability expressed in relative confidence, at least. And it actually makes Jewel sad. And I think I would not have realized that someone who had so much like social acumen could ever feel that way. So that will make me more sympathetic towards Jack.
All right. And I could clear my insecure, but I've had that since practically the beginning now, and I feel like it's just it's like my old friend now. So I'm gonna mark another potential. And I guess for my advance, I'll unlock my moment of truth.
Oh,
that's always a good one. Okay. Now,
does that mean you use it now, or just that it's available whenever you want?
It becomes available.
Okay.
Like it's like having an ace in your back pocket that you can pull out and slap on the table at any time.
Okay.
So the plane still bumbles a little bit. The movie doesn't play. Some people are disappointed, but those people don't matter. Alejandro, you've been listening to this back and forth because, I mean, they're sitting literally right next to you. So there's not really a way for them. I mean, so you've heard all this. Like, how was Alejandro feeling about this?
I think there's a weird ambivalence because, like, I think it's become clear that like Alejandro also does not connect to people very well, and so he is theoretically sympathetic to Jack, but he is also like just very recently had a very awkward conversation with Jack where they didn't connect. And so there's some level of like, oh, I wish we could all be friends, but also like, oh, we're not going to be friends.
Well, you did just witness a conversation between two people that up until this very point had been, hitting up against each other as a matter of course, and now they seem to have come to an understanding. Does that inspire you to kind of lean in that direction? Maybe talk to your fellow teen hero types here, or does it make you want to pull back because you feel so much different?
I think he's gonna withdraw. I think it is more alienating. It's maybe he's like, oh, okay, well, like they can clearly get along together, but like we haven't. and like I'm missing something that they have if they're getting along.
Oh my heart. How just show us that, describe to us that panel, like just when like you start to lean up a little bit and you hear them going back and forth and just come to this sort of meeting of the minds, this understanding between the two of them. Show us the comic panel of Alejandro as he realizes this for himself, like he doesn't see that he's going to be able to have that connection, like he doesn't think that's for him. What do we see?
It is like almost straight on of his face, like very little emotion showing, but he's still wearing those sunglasses, and so you don't really see his emotions or his eyes. And then like the second, so like it's not clear, like clearly he's processing, but it's not entirely clear in the panel like what his feelings are. And then the next panel is him turning towards the window and sort of like, doing one of these and looking out.
Do we get the tear coming out underneath the cosmic sunglasses and sparkling a little?
Yes, of course.
Y'all mind if I invert that? Which is to say, question one, do Eclipse's little cosmic energy sunglasses, does that conduct electricity at all?
It could. I mean, I'm going to say yes, because that's probably the more interesting.
So I guess question two is, do you want Eclipse to have his broody moment, or do you want that moment to sort of, how would you feel about that moment getting inverted by Jack?
I'm conflicted. I feel like we built a lot of emotional energy up with how sad that was, but also I don't want to just bail out on whatever fun idea you have.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, let me say this. Like, here's the thing. Like, if it sounds like Jack might be moving toward a comfort and support move there, or something like that, maybe. If he does that, if you don't have to necessarily buy into that as part of the fiction. Like, your character could just still resist. Like anything another character does, your character can just say, "I'm resisting it." And because usually, if two PCs are in a social move and one of them doesn't want to go along with it, like we can build the fiction from that. Like just based on your resistance, because there's usually like a list of options. Like on comfort and support, nothing has to happen if you don't open up. Nothing happens if you go through whatever move Jack decides to do, whether it's comfort and support like I was talking about, or whether she had an entirely different direction. As a social move, like you decide how your character reacts and how you pull into that. So don't feel like you have to give up the brood if you don't want to, but Jack can also try to do stuff and it could just land completely flat. And that's perfectly acceptable as part of the fiction if that happens. That's the kind of story we're telling. Sometimes the interpersonal moments are going to work and people are going to come together, but it's just as interesting from a storybook perspective if those things fall flat and they don't work and people come out worse than before. Both of those are good stories, so we can do it either way.
Okay. Then I guess we can go through with whatever Jack has in mind.
Okay, then I think it's a shot of it, like you get the good shot of like from like outside the plane of Eclipse looking out the window, and then there's like a second panel right next to it where it's the same shot, but like his sunglasses are sort of like lifting up, and Jack says, "Hey, Luna, we're all talking about our feelings over here. You want in on this biz?"
Yeah. I mean, yeah, okay.
Actually, this is kind of embarrassing, but I was just going to ask if you guys wanted to come sit up here, or if I could sit back with you guys, because I'm not used to plane travel, and this teleporting is really smooth and quick, and this is freaking me out, and I was wondering if maybe I could just sit with you guys.
Get over here.
So I'm gonna, flouting all of the seatbelt signs, get up and come and sit in the middle, and maybe just like whichever one of you would be down, like sort of like lean slightly over on someone.
Jack isn't gonna stop you.
Okay. So I'm gonna kind of lean over on Jack and just be like, "Thank you." And then like
No problem, doofus.
whatever. And I'm gonna sort of casually put my hand on the armrest on the other side where Eclipse is, so that if he were to want to put a steadying hand on my arm, he could do so, but I'm not actually gonna ask.
Oh, man, would he even understand? I think he'll try. It's super awkward. You can see a lot of hesitation in his face in the panel.
That makes it more moving, though, that he actually goes for it.
Yeah, I think.
Chris, you're muted.
You're still muted, Chris.
Dang it. Sorry. This sounds like a kind of lot of comfort and support here, or are we sharing something else? Like, is it a share vulnerability move again, or are we moving back into a comfort and support zone? What are you guys
All of
thinking?
the above? I don't know. There's a lot of vulnerability and a lot of comforting and supporting going on.
There's a lot of crossover in those moves.
So,
it just depends on what your what results you think you're going for.
I guess
if it's expressing vulnerability, I think maybe Eclipse might have expressed a little vulnerability there in that sort of pull back and then sort of lean back in. Like that, he's very limited in how much he shows because, I mean, Brock, that seems like the way Eclipse is. Like when he shows a vulnerability, it might not really look like it would if somebody else did it. Like this is going to be something that's going to be very specific to him, maybe. Like, do you think he's showing a vulnerability by sort of leaning back in after pulling away?
I think it could be read that way, yeah.
Is that where you want to go with it, or do you want to see if what they're doing, like Jack and Sappho, are both of them are sort of trying to pull you back in with something that sounds a lot like comfort and support? Do you think it would be more like them doing more of the emotional labor here, or do you think that it's you sort of being willing to push back in to get back into the group? That's the more important part of the story here for you.
I think it's more. I think they've made the bigger effort. He was just gonna brood away if it wasn't for Jack and then Sappho. So
now here's where it gets interesting. So Jack and Sappho, which one of you? It sounds like Jack got things rolling here, and then it looked like you kind of are maybe doing a team move to comfort and support.
That's what I was about to suggest.
So we're moving in that direction. Which one of you wants to roll the move, and which one of you wants to throw the team at it?
Well, we both have wretched mundane. So
I know, and you have, but you have different conditions that might affect the roll too.
Oh yeah.
Somebody's mundane just went up, I think.
Yeah. But it was like even worse before. Yeah. Let's see. You have the -2, so because you're still angry. So I guess, do you want to fail this roll or not?
Well, so I felt like I was showing vulnerability and like asking for support. Like, can I come back and be with you guys? I'm scared. I wasn't really trying. Like, I am trying to connect with everyone, but not necessarily comfort or support. Just like.
Okay, so it sounds like in this instance you're kind of lending the team.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to give you another condition for showing another vulnerability again. Yeah. Because that would just be that would be too much, I think, in this one bit of scenery. Because
that's fine. Jack, mom, friend, Flash will comfort and support everybody.
Yay!
So you're getting one team from this sort of like group effort here. So
yeah,
let's see how this rolls out.
Yeah, I think she just like laughs and like a little bit teary laugh, and she's like just like reacting to like this whole physical situation and emotional situation is just like, this is so friggin' awkward, you guys. And re-roll, come on. That's 7 plus 1 team, so 8.
Okay, we have a success on a comfort and support. And on a hit, they hear you, mark a petition, clear a condition, or shift labels if they open up to you. So now we can turn back to Brock, back to Alejandro here. How does Alejandro feel about this? What do you want to do here? Like, are you feeling like you're just letting your heart open back up to the team a little bit after that pullback, or is it just all too awkward, too fast? What does Alejandro think?
I think he's going to push through and try to embrace this, as difficult as it is.
So how does he open up? What does his opening up look like? You've sort of leaned back in. Is it the hand on the arm kind of thing? Is that you just sort of reaching back in tentatively to show that maybe you really do need this more than you thought?
So yeah, I think he has his hand on. He's had his hand on Sappho's arm, and Jack says like, "Oh, this is so awkward," and he's about to just be like, "Oh yeah, like this is too much," and you see his grip sort of loosening, like he's about to take his hand away, and then he sort of stops, and there's just like a close up of his hand, like sort of firmly settling on Sappho's arm, like it's okay, that it's awkward, like let's stay like this.
Now, do you keep the sunglasses active, or are you like letting Jack just sort of ferret those away? Now, those are just dissipating now. What are you doing?
Oh, he's going to keep those up because he doesn't want people to see his emotions. I think they'll just like the ones that Jack was messing with will just kind of turn to star stuff and sort of spark away, and he'll form new ones. And
I love that sometimes your space magic is like Sailor Moon Disney princess style sparkles, and then occasionally it's horrific torrents of doom energy. I love that about your powers.
That's how it goes.
Okay, so you lean in, you get to choose which of those options you want to do. You can mark potential, clear condition, or let's see, dang it, I had that list up again. So you can clear conditions, shift labels, or mark potential. What would you like to do?
Ooh, this is tough because I kind of need my conditions. I'm going to mark potential because I feel a little behind having missed a session, and I'd like to get an advance.
I can understand that. And your conditions for the Nova are like your bread and butter. Like,
yeah,
you want to always have at least one or two of those around. So, okay. All right. So that gets us to there. And the rest of the flight, I think, passes uneventfully for the most part. We will leave open the possibility of like a flashback scene between Sapphire and excuse me, between Sapphire and Vector when Vector sort of gets back into the mix. So at some point, y'all can have that conversation. We'll have that as a flashback at the beginning of next issue. Okay. But we'll move on from the plane unless somebody has some more stuff they want to do on there. But that sounds like a good wrap up for the plane.
I mean, I was interested in whatever the source of that turbulence was.
See, I thought about pushing that if you guys weren't going to follow it up with a really good emotional scene. Like I thought about pushing it that far, but I kind of like that wrap up. Like, yeah, it wasn't, and the tease of the super battle is kind of nice. Like as an emotional bonding moment, I thought that was you guys picked up better than I could have done with the super battle. So
the only thing I was gonna do was like, if the turbulence hit again, like a big wave, sort of like lean into the physical contact for comfort thing to show like how much I was relying on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get
like
that.
Go from leaning to like actually clutching Jack a little bit in fear and like I don't know if it's possible given the way my hand is to like grab Eclipse's hand, but just like I think I'm really scared of the turbulence because we're like in a giant flying metal death trap as far as I can tell. Like I've never flown before. So
I think that's perfectly possible. You got you can, because he's just sort of resting his arm there. Like he's not like trying to hold you down or anything. He's just comfortably resting his arm there, is the way he described it. So I'm sure if you like jerk, you can just grab, like in just like a nervous jerk of energy, and grab onto their hands there very easily. It will probably be both. I guess they'd probably both be surprised, but I'll leave that reaction up to them as to how
I
they
think
deal with
I'll
that.
be surprised. I don't think it's a voluntary thing. It's just like a fear reaction. So yeah, we're like flying, and then it's just like, I'm like, ah, ah.
Okay, now stop trying to show so many vulnerabilities, because you can't handle that many more conditions.
It's not a new vulnerability though.
Okay.
I assume
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah,
just
you've already expressed
further
that you're worried
expression of
about.
that one.
Yeah, you're still just worried about flying, but we've got to, I don't want to hit you with any more conditions right now.
No.
So you have to move past a few of them.
I don't think there's going to be another opportunity to be quite this, like this level of like relying on the team in a personal way, and like whatever, it seems like it's rare, and I would like to take that opportunity to not be this like future traveling whatever, but just be a girl for a minute, or human. It doesn't have to be a girl, but in this case it is because I'm a girl, and just be like frightened and wanting her friends to comfort her, or turning to her friends for comfort.
Okay. And I think we can, like I said, unless somebody has like another scene they want to see play out as part of the plane trip, we'll leave the rest of the plane trip to that possible flashback conversation, and we'll move on from there. Is that cool with everybody? Okay. Now there's a slight vignette as we pull back from the window, and Eclipse is leaning back into you guys, and as we have that really good scene, we see out on, well, you guys don't see, but the audience, the reader sees. There's a panel out on the side of the wing, and there's a figure out there. It's obscured for the most part, just sitting on the wing. And we don't know, we can't tell who it is, but it's in classic comic book fashion, it's got some sort of cape on that's obscuring its face and its body shape. But there's definitely something sitting on that wing out there, wearing some sort of dark colored cape. And then we fade to our next one, which is you guys arriving back in the city. You get out at the airport. There's not a, and here's the thing that I was going to ask our time travelers, who the heck are you guys staying with? You obviously can't stay with your parents. Like, did you guys make contact with, did you guys let sort of Eon sort of take you guys in as as your classic like teenage time travel refugees, which happens frequently enough in the world of Gauntlet Comics to where they do have a response team that deals with this sort of time displacement. So you could certainly have like a dormitory at an Eon housing facility where you've got like some supervising adults around, but it's more like a dormitory situation than an actual like home. You guys can certainly have that. Or have you like gotten foster parents or some point? It depends on how forthcoming you guys wanted to be about being time travelers. If you didn't want to be time travelers, then we can say you guys were placed in like a foster home, like that you're in a foster home or something like that. Or if you have a better idea, we can do that. But that's the weird part about time travel. I'm not sure exactly what your living arrangements are because people don't know you here.
That's the kind of question I really like to talk over with Vincent/Taurus before like unilaterally making. So I'd
we'll
like to put it off if possible.
Okay, so we'll let that sort of, you guys will fade off a little bit for the home situation. Now, we know that Jack's mom's going to be at the airport, right? I mean, I just don't see any way around that. Like, she's seen your video. She knows what went on with the thing at the archaeological dig. That was a big video. Lots of people saw it. And she's gonna want the scoop. She's probably got some ideas, right?
Absolutely.
So
Patsy,
she is there, and she is just she is just like, so I saw what happened. That was some amazing footage. A little bit destructive, maybe. I mean, destroying like archaeological sites, that's not so good. But we can spin that. That thing was really dangerous. You led that team to victory, and we can certainly like give the people what they want there. We can, you can go on and you can give like a narrated version of the video on your channel. It's going to be great. And
Yep.
and Eclipse, you are like walking by, like you certainly hear this. You certainly hear this conversation because she's not necessarily quiet about it. She's not necessarily whispering this. She just doesn't care that anybody else is hearing. So, like, and you, I think, listen, that guy with the cosmic, like magic stuff, like, you really need him in more videos. Like that was. I mean, that was like the best special effects I've ever seen in any movie. Like the latest like superhero CGI extravaganza couldn't compete with that stuff. We need him in those videos here.
Thought we were supposed to be focusing on my whole heroics thing.
We are, but you've got to understand that when you're going to be like you're going to be like a content creator. You're going to be a, gosh, what's the word in the internet these days for this stuff? Like, you're going to be a leader, a
influencer.
An influencer. Yes, that's what you're going to be. Oh, this is who you're going to be. And to show that, you need to show how much influence you have over your peers, like live. Like, and I saw how you were all like working together, and like how your friend, the jewelry girl, like she just teleported you away from that thing's attack, and that was amazing too. And your lights flashing and crashing onto that thing, I mean, that looked great. And there's just so much we can do with all of these people. It's going to be perfect. It's going to be amazing. We are going to do so many great things. And of course, as Jewel is walking by, like, Jewel hears that, because again, Patsy is not a reserved person when it comes to this kind of thing. And so she goes on and on and on. And Jack, I think at this point, for you personally, because she's looking right at you as she's saying all of this, she's barely registering your friends. She's trying to push your labels.
I was hoping for that.
Yeah, she's pushing. She wants to push your. Let me think here. She's actually wanting to push your superior up, and your. I'm going to say your savior down. Like she doesn't want you to focus on, like, she's not asking you to help people. That's not what she's doing. She wants you to focus on being better than people.
So my superior is already at 3.
Oh, seems that, like, I don't know which other direction she might go. Like, is there something like that that's gonna force you to resist, and I don't necessarily want to put that on you. Do you think she might be? Would she be trying to shift up? Would she be trying to maybe shift up your mundane? Do you think?
Could be mundane. It could be like freak if she's going for wanting like really flashy stuff. I don't know. I also don't mind being forced to resist if that's like what she's going for.
From her perspective, is what I'm thinking. She wants you to be better than them. Now, that could be like you being more of the people person in the group. So if that could focus on mundane, like she wants to push your mundane, she might want to push your mundane up for that reason, but that can cross over into superior if you really want to see how that works, how that resistance works out.
I am curious how the automatic resistance works out.
Let's go for it. You either resist it or you take a condition. So,
okay. Let's resist then.
All right.
So it's just roll plus nothing?
Yep, unless you have, do you have any existing influence over her? I don't think we ever established.
No, I do not have influence over my mother.
Okay.
All right. Come on, bad roll. Ah, damn it, that's a 9. That's like the most boring one.
Okay, so you're resisting having your label shifted. On a hit, you successfully hold to yourself and tune them out. On a 7 to 9, actually, the 7 to 9 is actually pretty interesting. On a 7 to 9, you choose one. You can clear a condition or mark potential by immediately acting to prove them wrong. You can shift one label up and one label down of your own choice. Or you can cancel their influence and take +1 forward against them.
I don't want to cancel her influence. I think I want to shift my own labels up. Shift my own labels.
Okay, so that doesn't require you to do anything extra. You can just keep to yourself and just let her words sort of roll off your back, and you become more of who you think you should be based on the situation.
Okay, like I don't know if like everything she's saying is entirely. I'm kind of interested in shifting my mundane down and my savior up, because like I feel like her words aren't like entirely going unlistened to, but just sort of like not in the way she intended.
Okay, all right. So what are you going to shift up and down?
Shifting savior up and mundane down.
So you're not quite rejecting her, but your focus is different. You're thinking you should be more heroic and less people-y.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that works pretty well. Now, you other two who are overhearing this, like, she's an adult. Her words can affect you even if she's not talking directly to you, because she automatically has influence over you. Alejandro, you're hearing this lady talk about you like you're really cool, but it's mostly because of your power. So I think she is, just by hearing these words, like this is acting as kind of a shift of your mundane down and your freak up. If your freak is already a 3, that means you have to resist or mark a condition.
Yes, my freak is maxed and my mundane is maxed, or it's as low as it goes.
So you got to roll to resist, or you take a condition. Now conditions are your bread and butter, but you already got a lot.
Yeah, I have a fair bit. I think I'm gonna. I sort of like what I'm hearing though, so I think it wouldn't be fair to resist.
Well,
because I think Eclipse wants to, he also thinks he's pretty cool.
Right, but does he think he's cool just for that? See, that'd be the tricky part. Like, there's an opening for you if you wanted to lean in that direction. But if you think it's cooler not to resist and just take an additional condition, like what would you? What condition do you think would be appropriate given the ones you already have? What do you think would be appropriate for you to mark based on what you're hearing?
I think he might be angry because he wants to be all powerful and like a cool superhero, but this is like such a petty, like the way she's talking about it is so shallow, and like she just wants to make an internet show and presumably get money, and that's like so not why he thinks it's cool to do what he does.
Exactly. Okay, I can see that. So that works out perfectly. So, all right. Okay. Sapphire, you're hearing this too. Like, she obviously kind of approves of you. Like, she doesn't know your name, which is still frustrating. But she likes you. She thinks your save was great. Like, your use of your powers was great. And she thinks that that was really an awesome thing that you saved, that you were shown on TV or on the YouTube video as being like the person who was teleporting people out of the way and saving people. She's going to, by that little bit of dialogue, she's pushing at your savior to go up, and I think she's pushing at your freak to go down. because that she's thinking that your helping in that video was more important than your superpower. So she's pushing your freak up and your mundane and your savior down. Oh, wait, did I just not know it? I flipped. Sorry. Freak down, savior up. Ugh.
I think I'll accept that because I'm at this point consumed all the time with trying to save the world and also feeling inadequate as a supposed superhero to do so. So that makes sense to me. So that brings savior up to 2 and freak down to 0.
Okay. So you're the only person who whose words who actually thought those words were good. Now,
I don't even know if I did. What's funny is that every time an adult has influence over me that I take, it's because the things they say resonate with my own thoughts in completely different reasons, for completely different reasons than why they're saying them, but it keeps working out. So
that they're adults, they do that. They're clueless, but still sometimes they can do something that helps. Okay, so now you guys have overheard that. Is there any response either of you want to make to this conversation, or do you just want to pass it on by and leave that response to Jack?
I'd like to leave it to Jack personally. I think because my own thoughts are now so jumbled with everything going on, label shifting and whatnot, that I'm probably going to go off somewhere to just try to think about what to do. So
okay, so you're pushing and we'll say you're dragging. You're dragging. Damn it! I keep forgetting his first name.
Taurus.
Yeah, Taurus. We'll say Taurus at this point because he's not in his outfit. You're dragging Taurus along with you, to try and sort out all the stuff that you guys have discovered and figure out what to do next. So I think that's a good sparking off point for you guys. Is there anything that Alejandro wants to do in relation to this overheard conversation? Do you want to jump in, or do you want to just leave that part to Jack? This is going to be our wrap up thing for this session, I think, because we're already at about 10:40. So is there something you want to come into that with right now, or you don't have to? I'm just saying, if there's something you want to say as a reaction, you're welcome to do that.
I think he also just leaves it because he's so dismissive of this woman. He's like, whatever. This lady doesn't get it, and I'm just gonna move on. Not worth my time.
Does the panel of him moving past, is he hunched and stomping away angrily, or is he just going whatever, crazy old lady kind of? What's his attitude like in the panel as he walks away?
I think there's a cool, overly dramatic panel of him, it's him facing towards the panel, walking towards the panel, and she's in the background. And yeah, he's kind of got this intense forward look, and there's maybe just some wisps of purple coming out of his eyes of intensity.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay, Jack, what do you say in response to this? You can see, because you're not completely locked onto your mom, you can see your friends are sort of, you see Vector and Jewel moving over in one direction. You see Eclipse moving in another, stomping past. And you're here with your mom as she's sort of now turning to kind of lead you toward the car now. Is there anything you want to do to sort of give us our wrap up scene here?
So I think the first noticeable thing is just that as soon as her mom started talking to her, her posture totally changed, and she's, instead of sort of the very relaxed, open, confident posture way of standing, she usually sort of feet planted, feet sort of closer together, looking down. And I think as she's following her mom back to the car, I think she just says, I don't think you get why I'm doing this, Mom.
Oh, that's good. So that's where it fades out. We see your mom is sort of turned away from you, so we're seeing like her sort of back, maybe side profile a little bit. Like, is she still talking like over her shoulder to you, like without even turning her head?
Yeah.
And then we
Oh,
see
absolutely.
you, and then we see the panel we see with you is just those words just coming out. Maybe they're a little bit to the side, like just so like we can tell just from the placement of that word bubble that your mom is totally not listening. She's not getting it at all, and she's not listening, just like you're saying. So the bubble itself is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I love that. That's awesome. Okay. Now we're here to our end of session moves, and I'll kind of give you guys an option as to, like, does anybody want to jump in first with their end of session to talk about it, or do we want to go through the character keeper order again? I've been my default is character keeper order, but I want to give you guys a chance if somebody's got something they really want to jump out with, like we can do that too.
I had a short final.
Oh, you want to do that? Okay.
For myself.
Okay. Let's throw that in there. We've got time for another break off panel.
It's
we'll have like a spread panel as we're leaving the airport.
But I think, let's say there's like a page with a couple of panels, and I'll just say what's in each one. If that's okay.
Okay.
So you see, just the first one is Jewel and Vector on like a park bench somewhere, because I don't know where we're going at, but maybe that's as far as Jewel could get him in his state. And he's kind of like lolled against the back of the thing, and she's sitting there like this. And then in the next one, it's sort of the same thing, but with a thought bubble that says, how are we supposed to pull this off? And then the next one, that thought bubble stays, but like two more added, like, nothing is going the way I expected. Taurus is amazing, but at the same time, I don't feel like he understands how focused we need to be. And then in the last panel, you just see like the two of them, and there are so many thought bubbles around them that you can't even see the background or the bench or anything, with like all of the anxieties that Jewel is having and every question she has, and just like how clearly overwhelmed she has taken over, to the point that they're going off panel. Like you can only see a couple of words in some of the thought bubbles because they're just.
And the thought bubbles, are they all like jagged and broken as they're piling up? Okay.
Yeah. Let's do it.
One more Sienkiewicz panel. Okay. Now, Alejandro, did you feel like you're stomping away with the glowing eyes? Was that a good send off for you as part of this session? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we're going into our end of session moves. We've got we'll proceed, since we didn't have anybody that wanted to jump out of order, I don't think, for this one. We will move back into our standard end of session move order for our character keeper, which will let Alex, our star, go first with the end of session move for Jack Flash. Did you go closer to the team, into your own image of yourself, or away from the team?
I think the into image of yourself sort of happened with the shifting of labels. So I'm going to say I grew closer to the team. I'm going to credit Jewel with that.
Okay.
And I believe they already have influence over me, so they can shift my labels.
And you get to clear a condition or mark potential as well.
Marking that potential.
Okay. And Pearl, how do you think Jewel is now seeing the labels for Jack Flash now?
I think she would take Savior up one and Danger down one, because she sees the potential now for Jack to really become this other thing than what she had thought.
Getting that Savior up. Oh, we lost Pearl.
Oh, hopefully she'll be back in just a second. Keep our fingers crossed. We'll move to our Nova next. Alejandro, how did you feel for this session? Did you go closer to the team, away from the team, or into your own image of yourself?
It was real up and down there, but I think I grew closer to the team ultimately.
Okay.
Um,
Who helped you, and do you give influence? Who do you give influence out of the mix of the folks that you spoke to as a part of the team building today?
So we did all kind of bond there at the end, but I think the person who really made that push was Jack at first. So I'm going to give her influence.
Okay. So Jack, you get. I think. Did you already have influence over Alejandro?
I did not.
Okay.
He
so
was
you now
the
have
only
influence?
person I didn't have influence over until Taurus permanently removed me having influence over him. So
Okay. Yeah, you've got you.
so
You now
close
have
to being de
influence.
facto team leader.
Close. Okay. So you get influence now, and you get to choose Alejandro whether you are going to mark potential or clear a condition.
I will mark potential.
Okay. All right, and now we are back to Sapphire / Jewel. Do you feel you grew closer to the team, away from the team, or into your own image of yourself?
Man, this is a tough one. I have a lot of like crazy things have happened for my character this session. I'm gonna say closer to the team though, overall.
Okay, who do you think helped you grow closer this time?
Interestingly enough, I think it was Jack. So yeah. Jack already has influence.
Yeah.
But I will either clear a condition or mark potential. I feel like I should clear a condition. I've got a lot.
You
of
have a lot of
conditions.
conditions.
I don't know which one to clear even. There are so many. I'm thinking either insecure, because I've been kind of like reached out to, or angry. Maybe angry, because I'm really trying to figure things out, and it would be handy if I could do that. And I think, like, one of the things I was angry about was that everyone went off without me. I think that's when I first marked angry, was that everyone went off without me to have a good time, and I was like stuck teleporting cell phones in a bar. So now I've been drawn back in. Maybe that anger has been mitigated somewhat. That makes sense to everyone?
Sounds good to
And
me.
I think I get to shift your labels.
That's fine.
So I'm thinking, yeah, because I think in Jack's eyes, like, sort of the core lesson
You're roboting for me. I don't know about anybody else.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of robot there.
Ah, goddammit.
There you are. Or I spoke too soon.
If you need to bounce in and out, that's
And
fine.
you-
Reconnect. I'm still getting robot.
Damn it.
Come in, Jack. Jewel to Jack Flash.
We'll see if he can connect back up again here in a second. We'll give him a second. There we go.
Oh, hello.
Hey, sorry about that. My Wi-Fi decided to shit the bed just at this exact moment. Is it still saying I'm in here? It did hang.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a ghost in here. I'll kick I'll kick the ghost.
Okay. Get away, ghost me. Yeah. Anyway, all I was saying is I think basically what Jack's takeaway from their conversation is that, like, Sapphire, like, you're not all that special. But like in a good way, mostly. So I'm thinking superior down and mundane up. It's like, you got the same problems we all do. I mean, also the whole time travel thing, but mostly just an insecure teen. Like the rest of us.
All right, done. So it puts my superior at 1 and my mundane at 0. Unless I did that wrong.
Looks right to me.
All right.
Okay. All right. So I think that gets us all to our end of session moves, if I'm keeping track of things correctly. And I'll probably give start of next session. If folks can remind me, I'll give Vince a chance to work in his end of session because he was here for a significant portion of the session. I don't want to cheat him out of his little bit of development too. All right.
It is remarkably weird to play a joined character without the character you're joined to. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was like, my moves are.
It's like playing Xana without Zan. Or Dagger without Cloak. It doesn't feel quite right. Yeah.
Like I can find things out, but I have no one to tell them to. I could try to do a move, but there'd be no one on the other side of the portal. Like, what do I do? So that was interesting.
I think it kind of worked out pretty well. Like we got a whole lot of emotional, teenage drama right out of that, which I thought we were going to try and move away from this time, but it ended up we got a ton more of it in there, and I'm loving that. So I hope you guys are too. I hope you didn't feel cheated by no super battle on the airplane. I thought letting you guys run with that move was way more interesting. So now we're going to move into our follow-up stuff. If you guys are ready, if you guys got time, we'll move into just a quick sort of stars and wishes about things you liked from this session, and then give me something you want to see from the next session. So we'll, if everybody's comfortable with it, we'll go in character keeper order again, and we'll start with Alex. Are you ready with stars and wishes?
Yeah. Stars to everybody. But I think this time especially to Pearl for just super real teen angst conversations, and just way more, I think, like mutual comforting and supporting than I think either of us expected. So that was fun. But I mean, everybody like has been great as usual. I just don't necessarily have like the words to articulate specifics right now. And then like wishes wise, I mean, mostly I just want things all to go. I think things were too nice this time. I think things. I really want things to just go to hell for the finale. I do think like Masks overall was often at its best when like outside combat scenes, but I do want more like flashy superheroics. And for Jack specifically, I would like her to get pushed, have the like conflict between what she wants from being a hero and what like she needs like to maintain her brand and her image. Like I want the conflict that to come up stronger. And
you want to see you want to have that conflict flare up with your mom too as part of that? Is that kind of the direction, or do you want your mom to kind of be secondary to just the internal struggle of what you're having to deal with?
I mean, I think it's I think her mom is sort of symbolic of like what her is essentially symbolic of like what her audience wants and what sort of is required of her to be like a brand. So I don't really see those as being mutually exclusive.
Okay.
Necessarily, I'm happy to do it either or both ways.
Okay, I didn't want to necessarily push your mom in there if you wanted that to be a wholly internal struggle. But if you're comfortable with both ways, we'll see how it plays out and see what it looks like.
Yeah, I think it'll be easier and more dramatic if there is like external pressure in like encouraging that internal struggle. Like I don't think it would be purely either external or internal. So But yeah, I just want everything to go to hell. Is that so much to ask?
Well, things have to go to hell at least so we can have that moment of truth play out, because
Oh, absolutely.
things have to be in hell for moments of truth to really, really shine. So
yeah.
Okay.
I also want to roll less well next time.
Well, with all those freaking negatives you guys had, I felt sure we would have gotten a lot more rolls in there. But
Right?
I think everybody got at least one advance this time, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so
anyway, that's all I got.
Okay. Thanks. I appreciate that. And I'll be making my notes with this portion of the video to kind of make sure I try and work in all the stuff folks are asking for. Okay, going by the character keeper, we next come to Brock. What do you think would be good for Alejandro next season? Or next session, sorry. Season is way far down the road. About that yet.
I think pretty much exactly like Alex said. I think this session was really good with the just like emotional character development moments. But I believe next week is the last session, right? And so, yeah, I'd really love like just a big sort of explosive finish as things get very real for us, and we have to do some of that genuine superheroing. And I think for Alejandro in particular, I mean, this is just kind of the Nova all around, but I think the interesting thing is how much can he get away with being sort of irresponsible with his overly destructive powers. You know, it's like it's all fun and games when some big supervillain shows up and he starts just blowing everything up, but people don't love that ultimately.
Now, see, do you want to see that come up as part of what happened in session 1, where you guys basically blew a bunch of holes in that archaeological dig, or do you want to see it come up specifically as a part of the big climactic blowout that people want to see in that last one?
I think maybe more of the latter, because I'm worried if we try to introduce consequences from the first session that's going to slow us down, and we only have so much time.
Okay, so you want to see it all like come. You want to see it all like blow up in your face like right then.
Mm-hmm. As part of the big finale, yeah.
I can definitely go there. Anything else you want to add? Stars, stuff you like from this session, stuff you want to see next time?
Stars, yeah, again, like just everyone being really emotional and teenage vulnerabilities and stuff, and that was great. I feel like I was well, I always have a hard time like getting into a character, and particularly this time it felt kind of behind the ball and having missed a session, so if it was maybe sort of difficult for me to get started, then I appreciate Alex and Pearl just really getting in there with the good emotional stuff.
Heck, you had me fooled. I thought you were trying to play the standoffishness that you had kind of set up with the character in the first session.
I mean, it's a little column A, little column B.
I was doing all the credit in column A, so yeah. So okay, well, I'm glad you were able to get some work into your character a little bit more this session. So that part's good. And we'll move next to Pearl. What did you like about this session, and what do you want to see more of, or new stuff coming out next session? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go?
Well, stars to everyone for all the reasons everyone has already said, so I don't want to just repeat everything. Yay, emotions. Stars to Jack for really playing into like the 2 future versions overheard conversation stuff. I don't know how it's going to turn out, but I'm very interested in finding out. One hopes it will be for the best, but it seldom is. So we'll see. It's of course nice to see our Nova back again, and I am looking forward to those powers going horribly awry. As far as wishes for me, well, I hope Vincent can be here for the whole game next time, because I felt like once he was gone, I defaulted to like very human emotional stuff, which worked out well in this case, but like I can't do that indefinitely. And without having someone to be joined to a joined character's a bit at sea. And I mean, maybe it shouldn't be, and it's just my fault as a like I'm not thinking outside the box enough. But so that's my big wish, is to be able to like do all my join moves and connect more dots, and but then like have someone to talk about it with, and for connecting the dots to lead to more of what happened today, which is these like dual possibilities for the other players to play with. And I only want to do a climactic battle if I have someone I can do all my moves with. Otherwise, I'm pretty useless. So, I kind of want that, but also I want to like fastball special by myself. It won't work. Otherwise, it feels so unfinished. There's only one session left. I don't even know what to put in my wishes. Like, we've only filled 2, if that, of our memory slots for like my timeline thing, and Jack's story is getting so much more interesting, and the direction that Eclipse could go is so important and could be so cool. And I think I'm just feeling sad. Like, one session is not even close to enough to address any of those things and have a climactic battle. I don't know how we're going to do it. But it is a testament to everyone, including you, of course, Chris, for your excellent GMing skills, that I'm just feeling kind of bummed out. Like, I don't know what to wish for, because anything I wish for means the other wishes I have probably can't also come true. So I just wish a happy last session to everyone.
Yeah. The final sessions of just about every Gauntlet game is always kind of bittersweet, because you get to see some resolution, but you also, in seeing the resolution, like, it's resolved and we have to move on to the next one. But I'm
this
glad
is the opposite. I feel like we're not going to get anything resolved, and that's what's bumming me out. Like,
at least a couple of things will be resolved. But I will tell you this, for the Harbinger connect the dots move, like, it's almost impossible to resolve all of those things, because there's like 6 boxes to fill in. So it's impossible to do those on a standard mask series. Like, even if when we, I've seen the Harbinger style character played in longer series, and even in the longer series, it's hard to fill in all those blocks.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily mean like that specifically, so much as all the different characters have things that I'm interested in, and I'd like every single character's arc to get resolved. Like, which way does the Nova go? Which way does Jack go? I just want to see it. So,
well, see, I wanted to fill in all the connected dots because I love that move. Like,
I'm not saying I didn't want to do that. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, that is one of my. I mean, on my end, like, I really wish I could get to fill in like the rest of those moves, because I like to see how those things turn out. But we've got our limits, and you guys have a main storyline as also to figure out like what's going to go on with Biff. Like,
exactly.
we got to figure out.
We haven't even talked about whether he took a date with Becky.
Yeah, because he hasn't talked about that yet. It's unfortunately, like, he still was having trouble holding his alcohol during the plane ride. Heaven only knows what was happening back there with that turbulence.
Exactly. This is why, and I know no one agrees with me, and everyone says, pilot better than season. But we need like another campaign. We need to just or make it a quarterly or something.
I fully agree with you on that.
Okay.
It is the curse of Gauntlet games that they're just too dang short.
Yeah.
It's just like, given I think my like any area of disagreement for me came about given the 4-game limit, like, I'd rather do an excellent pilot than try to get everything and leave some things unresolved, than try to get everything in. But also, I have faith in Chris to tie everything together in a beautiful, wonderfully satisfying way. No pressure.
It's no pressure. And I know I've got to give Arnova a chance to roll that burn move again, because he's kept these conditions so perfectly. He's been holding them this whole session, waiting to charge up that burn for next time.
Yeah, I have faith. It'll happen.
I think we've got we did like so much, sort of emotional, like good emotional stuff and good like setup. I mean, I think it's like all that emotional stuff that happened this time will serve us really well going into like a climactic, flashy, super heroic finale. So
So we'll hit the ground running next time. Is there anything anybody else wants to throw onto the video before I close out the broadcast? Everybody good? Okay. Everybody who's watching, maybe the 5 or 6 people that did, thanks for watching, and hope you'll tune in for the final, the big finale of this series. And hopefully we'll be coming back with another one as soon as I can hopefully work it in once the kids' school starts. So things get easier once the kids go to school. So hope to see you next time, and thanks everybody, and we will see you next week.